once again. It's a pleasure to welcome you all to one more session in this course of Inferential Discrete Mathematics for the second semester of the BCA online learning program. Last class we had an introduction to the concept of relations. We classified relations into a few types. We understood how relations can be expressed using matrices. We also had a look at how you can find out whether certain relations are equivalence relations or not. We had an introduction to functions, and we classified certain relations as getting the extra qualification as a function and certain relations which failed to get the extra qualification as a function. In today's class, we will identify how certain operations can be easily performed on a couple of relations defined on a given set. We will have four important operations to discuss, and then we will also have a look at the idea of a closure of a relation. We will start with the first of them on your screens. The first we will discuss is about the union of two relations. Now, if you can recall, when we introduced this notion of a relation, we defined the relation to be a subset. We defined that any relation R is a subset of a larger set called the Cartesian product. Basically, every relation is actually a set. So all the operations that we can imagine on sets can also be extended to the idea of relations. And if you can recall from your class 10 or class 11 topics, we discussed problems on union of two sets and intersection of two sets. The same operations can also be extended to relations here. The first one is on your screen here. If R and S denote couple of relations defined on a set A, then the relation RUS, signifying the union of two relations, is the collection of all ordered pairs in R and S. So everything in R and everything in S is included without getting duplicated. That is what we call as the union of two relations. So if you can imagine set R to be this and set S to be this, they may or may not have any elements in common, but R union S will include all elements here. If I include R by vertical stripes and S by horizontal stripes, then the union is all of this, the ones I indicate by populated dots. So whatever concept we learned under the idea of the union of two sets can also be extended to the union of two relations also. On your screen is a simple example of the same concept. We have considered a set A having elements 0 to 3, and we defined two relations R1 and R2. So what do we say about the union now? The union should include all ordered pairs without any repetitions. So this will have these ordered pairs. What are they? 0 0, 0 2, 1 0, there's no 1 0, 1 1, 2 0, 2 2, 2 3, 3 2, and 3 3. All ordered pairs are counted here. We just avoid repetitions, so we'll have 8 elements in all. Even though we have 4 in R1 and 7 in R2, we'll have 8 pairs in the union. Now, what we'll also discuss is an easy way to write down the union. For smaller sets, doing this is easy, but when you have two sets R1 and R2 which are too large, looking for every element is not pretty simple. Instead, what you can do is perform the same operation by considering the matrices which represent the two relations. Let's say I have MR1 Do you know how to write MR1? MR1 is going to be a 4 by 4 matrix which will have its entries along the diagonal, because the zeros, ones and twos are on the rows here and columns here. I have a 0 0 pair, so this is 1. There is no 0 1 pair, there is no 0 2 pair, there is no 0 3 pair in R1. Similarly, the other 12 entries can also be marked to be 0. So my matrix for the first relation will be of this form. The second relation is one more 4 by 4 matrix. We discussed this only in the last class, so I think you are still able to recall all the ideas. This time I have 0 0, I also have 0 2, I have a 2 0 and I have a 2 2, I have a 2 3, I have a 3 2 and also a 3 3. So the remaining 10 entries will be zeros. 9 entries, I guess, will be zeros. Now once you are able to express both these relations in the form of matrices, you can also write down what happens to their union. Now MR1 union R2 is simply going to be an element wise addition, but in the Boolean sense. So we're going to add 1 and 1, which will give you 1. Remember, addition in the Boolean sense will give you 1. Or if you can relate this to the OR gate or the disjunction, you will know how to write this. You will write this as 1 OR 1, 0 OR 0, 0 OR 1, 0 OR 0, and you will write all the 16 entries. You will compare them element wise, 1 OR 0, 0 OR 0, 0 OR 0, 0 OR 1, 0 OR 0, 1 OR 1, 1 OR 0, 0 OR 0, 0 OR 0, 0 OR 1, 1 OR 1. Therefore, our matrix is just going to be a disjunction of these two numbers, so that's 1, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1. And it is exactly these 8 elements that we had in the set. We have a 0 0, we have a 0 2, we have a 1 1, we have a 2 0 and a 2 2, 3 2 and a 3 3. So instead of comparing element wise and finding out whether they are present, you can directly do a disjunction between these two matrices and get the answer. Or in other words, you will just do a Boolean addition and end up with an answer like this. This will also help you perform the operation of union in a simpler manner. Similarly, we can also try and find the intersection of two relations. Just like how you find intersection of two sets, intersection of two relations is also another simple idea. So when you have one set, say R, and another set AS, then the intersection will represent all elements that are common to both sets. You know that. We do the same thing here. Then this represents R intersection S. Since all relations are basically sets, we can extend the same concept to this too. I'll give you an example here where R3 and R4 are defined on the sets. Now we're going to form the intersection, so we'll just have a look at what is common to both. R3 intersection R4 will just be all pairs which are common, and there are not many, only a few. So 0 0 is common, 1 1 is common, 2 2 is common, and 3 3 is common. No other pair is common to both relations, and therefore the intersection will just be this. Just like I said for the previous operation, even this operation called the intersection can be performed if you consider them as matrices. We'll see that here. Let's write one matrix for R3, one for R4, and one for their intersection. The R3 matrix is simple. You will consider a 4 by 4 matrix. You have a 0 0, you have a 1 1, you have a 2 1, you have a 2 2, and you have a 3 3. The remaining entries are zeros. We just fill this up. R4 similarly will be 1, 1 1 is 1, 1 3 is 1, 2 2 is 1, 2 3 is 1, 3 1, 3 2 and 3 3 are 1s. The remaining entries are zeros. So now if you try and find the intersection, we already know the answer. The answer is just the diagonal, but this time the answer can also be obtained by performing an element wise Boolean multiplication. How do you do that? It is 1 and 1, 0 and 0, 0 and 0, 0 and 0, 0 and 0, 1 and 1, 0 and 0, 0 and 1, 0 and 0, 1 and 0, 1 and 1, 0 and 1, 0 and 0, 0 and 1, 0 and 1, 1 and 1. Now you know how this multiplication works. You get a 1 only when you are multiplying the two ones. In all other cases it's 0. So now you will find that only the diagonals are 1s and all the remaining 12 entries are zeros. And this corresponds to the ordered pairs we wrote on the previous slides: 0 0, 1 1, 2 2 and 3 3. So such an easy operation on matrices will also help you identify the relation which represents the intersection of the two relations R and S. The next operation that we'll see is on the symmetric difference between two relations. Let R and S denote two relations defined on the set A. Then the relation R plus S, it's called the symmetric difference, will contain all ordered pairs that are present in R but not in S. Elements that are exclusive to R but not in S will be included here, or elements which are exclusively present only in R or only in S but not in both. So the symmetric difference will contain all ordered pairs which are present either in R or in S but not in both. Only in R or in S but not in both S and R. These ordered pairs are part of this set called the symmetric difference. Elements which are exclusive to either R or S. They are not considering those elements which are common. So what happens here? Let's take an example: R1 and R2. The symmetric difference, elements which are exclusive to R1 and R2 but not both. 1 1 is exclusive, 1 1 is present only in R1 but not in R2. So the common elements can be struck out. We are not going to count them again. All others will get counted. 0 2 is exclusive to R2 alone, 2 0 exclusive to R2 alone, 2 3 and 3 2 exclusive to R2 alone. So these 5 ordered pairs will form the symmetric difference. But like I told you, we can get the same answer using the idea of matrices as well. How do you do this using matrices? We will write down the matrix for R1 as usual: 0 0, 1 1, 2, 2, 3, 3. All 4 other entries are zeros. That's R1 for you. MR2 will be 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 2, 2, 0, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 3. All numbers are zeros. Don't have anything in the second row. Now the symmetric difference between the two can be obtained by just writing their union and subtracting the intersection from it. Once you do this, we'll just raise the modulus to lose any negative signs. So we need one answer for the union, which we already had, one answer for the intersection, which also we already had, and we'll just include that. We'll just need to subtract these two. The union will be this way. This is a union matrix. That's 1, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0. 1, 0, 1, 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, minus the intersection. Intersection is easy. Intersection is only along the diagonal. That's 1, 1, 1 and 1. Everything else is 0. You know what are common. You just have to do the math behind that. That's easy. The common elements are 0, 0, 2, 2, 2, 2 and 3, 3. There are only 3 elements which are common, which means all the remaining 13 entries are zeros. If you subtract them and get their absolute value, that will give you the symmetric difference that is represented. MR1 plus circle MR2 will just be this difference under the modulus. So that will be zeros, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1 and 0, 0, 1, 0. Only these order pairs will be part of your symmetric difference. Only 5 pairs, and we wrote all the 5 pairs here. If you wish, you can cross check. The 1, 1 is a 1, 0, 2 is a 1, the 2, 0 is a 1, the 2, 3 and the 3, 2 are 1s. We have the same ones even here. The symmetric difference can be obtained by directly subtracting the corresponding matrices of the union and the intersection to get your symmetric difference. This way, you can also perform the operation called symmetric difference only using the matrices. The next part is about the composition of two relations R and S. Let R and S denote two relations defined on the set A. Then the relation R dot S, the dot will signify the composition, is all ordered pairs included where the pair AB belongs to the first set and the pair BC belongs to the second set. We will look at an example here. The composition of relations R1 and R2, R1 intersection R2. You will include a pair AC only if AB is in R1 and BC is in R2. So these two elements need to be same to pair up these two elements. That's how you define the composition. So looking at that, if you can look at this example that I have taken, I cannot include every pair. There are only certain pairs that can be included. Let's find out what they are. I can pair up 0 0 with 0 2. I have 0 0, I have 0 2. So let's write down what do we have in R1, what do we have in R2, what do we have in R1 composition R2. I have 0 0. So anything with a 0 I can pair up. The things with the 0 are 0 2 and only that. So I can pair up these two to get this pair in R1 composition R2. I cannot pair anything else with 0 0 because nothing else starts with 0. Only 0 0 and 0 0 can be paired to get back 0 0. That's okay. There's one pair, second pair, third pair. I cannot pair up 1 with anything else because nothing begins with 1 here. There is no ordered pair of the form 1 comma y in R2. So there is no composition possible. Look at 2 2. Are there any pairs beginning with 2 0? Yes. There is a pair with 2 0. There is a pair with 2 2. There is a pair with 2 3. So you can pair up the 2 with all of these and this to get 2 new pairs, 3 new pairs in fact, 2 0, 2 2 and 2 3. The last part of it with 3, I have only 3 2 and 3 3. So if I pair the first 2, I'll get a 3 2. To pair the last 2, I'll get 3 3. So this set of R1 composition R2 will contain these 7 pairs. What are they? 0 2, 0 0, 2 2, 2 0, 2 3, 3 2 and 3 3. We have these 7 pairs in the composition. All of them pertain to the condition defined on the previous slide, and only these 7 pairs can be included. But you don't have to do the same kind of a meticulous calculation every time you are dealing with the composition of two relations. You can also perform the same operation by multiplying the corresponding matrices. Let's try that on the next screen. I can multiply R1 and R2. Now let's write down what is MR1 and let's write down what is MR2, and let's multiply the two. MR1 is easy. It's the diagonal matrix. MR2 is also same way. Yes. So all we need to do is multiply these two matrices. As we multiply any two matrices, the row by column method will help us get the answer. And how do we do this? We multiply them. So it is 1 and 1 plus, let's do it like this. You can perform the multiplication, and in this case the multiplication is easier here because one of the matrices is the identity matrix. MR1 is I4, the identity matrix star MR2. So we'll get MR2 back. You can recall this property from the basis of matrices. You multiply any matrix with the identity matrix, the resultant matrix is the same. So MR2, what is MR2? MR2 is straightforward. MR2 is 1 0 1 0 0 0 0 0 1 0 1 1 double 0 double 1, and that is exactly what we had. 1 0 0 1 is 0 0 0 2 2 0 2 2 3 0, there's no 3 0, 3 2 3 3 and 2 3 is exactly the same set of ordered pairs we got in the previous step, and hence when you multiply the corresponding matrices you will get the answer that you have when you do the composition as an operation. Now we'll have a look at a couple of problems to recall what we have done. Let's do the union, the intersection, the symmetric difference, and also the composition. MR1 union R2 will be this set, this matrix, zeros everywhere else, added with this other matrix, you will remember to do the Boolean addition here. It's not as in adding 1 and 1 to get 2. So the union will just be 1 0 0 0 0 1 1 0 0 1 1 0 0 0 0 1. The union will contain these 6 pairs. What are those 6 pairs? 0 0 1 1 1 2 2 1 2 2 and 3 3. Now for the same pair, if we have to do the intersection, we'll just have to multiply the two matrices, 1 1 1 1, 0 everywhere, dot matrix multiplication, you know what that is. One, 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 one. One and one, 0 and 0, 0 and 0, 0 and 0, 0 and 0, 1 and 1, 0 and 1, 0 and 0, 0 and 0, 0 and 1, 1 and 1, 0 and 0, 0 and 0, 0 and 0, 0 and 0, 1 and 1. So the answers will come down to only ones along the diagonals and zeros everywhere else. Which means the intersection has only 4 pairs, 0 0, 1 1, 2 2 and 3 3. Now for the symmetric difference, we'll just write down the two matrices representing their union and their intersection, and we'll subtract them. We know that the symmetric difference is actually the difference between the union of the two relations and the intersection of the two relations. We already know what the union is. The union is the larger set, which is 1, 1, 1, 1, 1 and 1. We just got it a few slides back. Minus the intersection, which was only the identity matrix, subtract both, you'll get the matrix where there are only two ones, zeros in the first two rows, which will correspond to the set of ordered pairs 1, 2 and 2, 1. So that will form the matrix representing the symmetric difference. We'll wind up this session with a couple of definitions on the closure of a relation. If R is any relation, then on it we can define something called as the reflexive closure, which is another relation. Let R denote any relation, then R dash, namely the reflexive closure, is another relation such that it meets these two conditions. Number one, it must be reflexive. We can recall what the reflexive relation is. Any element should be paired up with itself. Only then the relation becomes reflexive. And number two, R dash must be the smallest possible such relation. To give you an example, let's have a look at this set 0, 1, 2, 3 on which we have defined the following ordered pairs. Clearly R1 is not reflexive. R1 has 0, 0, 2, 2, 3, 3. R1 is missing the pair 1, 1. So unless we include the pair 1, 1, R1 does not become reflexive. That is why we can define a reflexive closure on R1 and call it as R1 dash. R1 dash will be R1 appended with the extra ordered pair which is missing. R1 dash will be 0, 0, 0, 2, 2, 0, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 3, and now I will include the newly included pair 1, 1. Now if you look at R1 dash is reflexive. All elements have been paired up with themselves, and R1 dash is the smallest such relation which satisfies both conditions. R1 dash is the smallest such relation. This is what we refer to as the reflexive closure of R1. Similarly, one can also define something called as the symmetric closure. Let R be any relation. A relation R double dash can be called as its symmetric closure if R double dash itself is symmetric, and number two, R double dash is the smallest such relation which contains the actual R. To give you an example, let's consider one more relation like this. R2 is 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 1 and 3, 3. Now clearly R2 is not symmetric. R2 is reflexive nonetheless, but R2 is not symmetric since the pairs 2, 3 and 3, 1 do not have their symmetric pairs included. Therefore, the symmetric closure of R2, namely R2 dash, can be R2 which also includes whatever pair that is missing, 3, 2 and 1, 3. Now this R2 double dash has all the ordered pairs which are initially present and in addition they also have the pairs that are missing, 1, 3 for 3, 1 and 3, 2 for 2, 3. Now we have made the relation symmetric because every pair has its symmetric pair also present, and this is the smallest R2, smallest R that you can define such that R2 is contained in R2 dash. If you remove any one of these ordered pairs, the result will either not be symmetric or it will not be part of R. With that, we will wind up today's class. We have understood a couple of operations on relations, the union, the intersection, the symmetric difference and the composition on a relation, and we also found out how to find the closure of a given relation. Next class, we will have a look at few more problems of the same kind. and also discuss what is known as the transitive closure of a relation. Now remember, finding the transitive closure is not going to be as easy as this task that you have done so far. Thank you.